Go.
Welcome back to the Rugby Oaks, George. What a weekend of action. Probably the best weekend of rugby action we've had in a long while. Autumn Nation series well underway. Let's kick off with the Boks versus France. Revenge was what was on the table. It was promised to us by the French fans. Couldn't get over the 2023 loss 2 years later. They thought this was their opportunity redemption. Let's be honest, they fell fat on their
On their
face.
face.
And they are, well, they're just pretenders, really. They can't complain about the loss. Now, the Boks once again have won. Russie, I think 2 out of 2 against the French, 2 out of 2 in Paris, Stade Francais. I think they're going to put a statue of Russie on the outside of it by the looks of it. What are your thoughts initially after the game? And now we've had a couple of days to digest.
I mean, it was one of the best Springbok performances ever. It's up there with that quarterfinal because it looked a bit sketchy in the first half, but you could tell after a few, maybe 15 minutes or so, you could tell actually the boys are in this. We've got this. Like, we're not horrendous. Look, I know France are missing a couple key players, like some big name players, like obviously Dupont, Malvaka. So those are, I'd say, game changers because Malvaka is one of the best hookers in the world, and Dupont's best scrum half in the world, apparently. Um, but yeah, yeah, it is apparent. But France, they're their own worst enemy. They take B's and C sides to New Zealand to go for their warm up games or whatever you want to call it, their mid year summer tour. And then they want to come to this game without a practice run, no dry run, no rehearsal. Actors fall on their face when they do that. France, you're
Yeah,
acting.
absolutely. I think it's shown the chinks in the arm of the French, potentially in their strategy in planning for this. We know that their stubborn Frenchness of taking the top 14 over the international window and resting their players in the summer is something they've done for years and years and years. They won't be able to do it from next year onwards because of the Autumn Nations Championship. So excuse me, not the alternate, the Nations Championships, which will
Mm.
be running throughout the year. So those summer tours will be important for log points for that, for positioning for that. So we will see a change there. But yeah, it smacked of a performance that they expected to come out and roll over us. They expected because they were the best team in the Six Nations, they could roll the best team in the world. It's undeniable that the Rugby Championship produced better teams than the Six Nations. That no one can argue that. Whether you want to argue that the competition is more exciting or more historic, well, fine, we can have that conversation. But 9 World Cups versus 1 World Cup, and clearly here, the best of the best, the people talked up France like they were going to come and roll us over. And to be honest, it was a classic Bok performance. It was 1 point at halftime. I actually predicted that. I said it's going to be close at halftime. We're going to run away in the last 20 minutes. Earlier in the week, I said by 20 points on match day. George, I said 8 to 10. Bit nervy there, but look, it showed grit. It showed performance, and also there was a little bit to it. And this isn't taking nothing away from the excitement of the game. It was a Boks. The Boks were at work. They were there to do their job, and that was it. The French had those opening tries. They were fortunate tries. They were very skillful tries, but they were fortunate tries. With Kurt Lee being kept, well, you caught napping a couple of times, and also our back line just being caught napping. That early onslaught came, and we didn't see it again throughout the match because I think the kind of arrogance of the French truly believing that we stole that game and we didn't beat them a couple of years ago, coming in that they would do a job, and it was I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But geez, I would have expected more from a Six Nations Championship French team.
Yeah, I 100% agree. As I said earlier, they came into this, they're going to cry about it and maybe say they were undercooked, but that's your problem. You've got to sort your fixtures out. But they threw on the Le Plum squad, whatever what's their bomb squad called? Le Pif, Le Pop,
Le,
yeah, there we go. Got
the douche
distinguished, not
squad.
extinguished, not distinguished. Put out. They try to do a Russie and launch however many forwards that I think they launched out 5 Oaks at 47 minutes. And it didn't work because you've taken off some of your better players that weren't really gassed yet, but they got gassed too early. They just it was, oh, they got they got caught
The,
up in it all, and they were shown up on the day by a much much better team.
the French did the classic, and I told you this before the game. They concentrated more on physicality than actually their game plan. How do we combat the Boks physicality? How do we cope with the bomb squad? How do we make sure we bully them? And the teams that do that always lose. And the teams that those classic teams like when New Zealand do it, when Ireland do it to a certain extent,
Yeah,
when they go, you know what, we're going to play our game. We don't care about how the Boks can play as hard as they want, and we want to play our game because we believe in our game.
yeah,
Don't try and beat the Boks, the best in the world at what they're doing, how they do it. The Irish coach Farrell famously said a couple of years ago when they toured South Africa, maybe we'll do six backs on the bench and one forward as a bit of a joke when they were talking about the 7-1 split. But that's the attitude you should come at. You should
yeah.
come at, we play our game, buddy, and we're going to be set up to attack and score points on them, and we're going to try and nullify them, not focus on nullifying them before you think about your own team. Dupont's out the picture. Yes, he is undeniably one of the best players, maybe not yet ever to play the game, but he will be one of the best players to play the game. I adore watching him play. Hate that he's French. Love that he's a rugby player. But you think about. I mean, it's hard to say who's your best Springbok player, but you look at guys like Earburn, you look at Sia, you look at Peter Steff, you look at Cheslin. There's enough of them that are world class game changing players that when we lose one or two of them, we still throw out insane teams and
Yep.
insane and good performances. And with probably the only country outside of South Africa that has the depth to be able to handle losing someone like Dupont, it is France. They've got two divisions of club rugby that
Yep.
are serious competitions,
Yeah.
filled with Frenchmen, filled with expats as well, but filled with Frenchmen, that they should be able to handle it quite nicely without Dupont. Le Garrick is no kind of bad number 9.
He's brilliant.
I think the third choice, the bald guy, is not a bad number 9 either,
Luku.
but it shows a lack of confidence without Dupont.
Yeah, they lose a bit of their edge, their spark without him. And how much rugby has he played this year? I don't even know. A couple games? I don't know. I don't watch a lot of French
Yeah, look,
rugby.
he's played Six Nations. They're putting him in cotton wool for the Six Nations next year. But
Why?
you know what? The French are going to fall down to fifth. Now they're fifth in the world, maybe sixth. They could be in trouble when it comes to the World Cup draw. And actually, I hope they are. And they learn their lesson from this. And when they go to Australia with a bunch of players who haven't travelled internationally for 4 years, it's gonna be tough for them. But moving on to a couple of bits in the game. Obviously, we know the Lourdes. We'll call it a controversy today. We found out he's got a 4-week ban for that hit. I'm not so concerned about the ban. I know World Rugby are looking at making the game safer, and they have to uphold their referee and all that. The ban actually for a red card, 3-4 weeks is probably fine.
Yeah.
We don't need Lurt as much as I'd love to have him. We don't need him. But the real concern for me here was why it wasn't a 20-minute red card, why it was a full red card. And that smacks of the pressure from the Ireland New Zealand game,
Yeah.
where everyone in the media was like, no, you need to make the decision on the field, let this bunker thing go, whatever. This was a perfect situation to go to the bunker and go, hey, whether intense part of it or not, it wasn't a cheap shot. I don't think the guy was falling. Lurt maybe could have wrapped an arm, led less with the shoulder, and
Yeah.
that's where you go, is shoulder to the head, bro, and you kind of led with it. The ball hit him in the face and he turned away at the last minute, but it doesn't look great from that angle, and I
No.
totally get that. It's a red card all day. For me, we've made it more complicated now by saying it's a red card all day because you've got the choice between two different red cards. So for me, it was concerning that it wasn't a 20-minute red, because that was not a punch in the face, that was not an eye gouge, that was not a ball tickle, that was not spitting in the ref's mouth or calling his mother a jintu. I don't know. But he was off the field. What do you think about it?
I I've flip-flopped. I've gone like worst call of all time, and then I've watched it again. The reason I flip-flop is because I keep watching it in slow-mo, and slow-mo makes it look horrific.
And
In
from
real,
the side that he doesn't rap, because the other side
yes.
he gets a
Um,
hug.
there's a spider cam view of it where they do, if you did that in normal speed, it looks like, oh, ouch, but like okay. But then they slow it down and his arm is mega tucked. But I mean, if he's hitting Ramos in the waist or in the pelvis, great hit, because then that arm will eventually wrap around.
Because
But
then you
it's
would count the other one as a rap, right?
yeah, but
Um,
he's been the reason it's going to be a talking point for a while. Mitigation, no mitigation. There's a massive amount of mitigation. Kubatranik tackled Ramos. Ramos is on his knees. Ramos then does a Oscar performance because I've watched the highlights a
Mm.
number of times. He's wriggling around on the ground, holding his face. Someone comes in the field, helps him up. He gets up and he's like, "Go away, no HIA." His gum guard's not flashed, so clearly he's not been hit in the head hard enough. Maybe
Do
we
we
need to
have
hit
a
him.
flashing gum guard in this one? I don't think it is. I think that was the Ladies World Cup, but
No, they've got
um,
flashing gum guards
oh,
now.
they've
Yeah,
got it. So he's
and
not had a hit hard enough for an HIA. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that, and he didn't go for an HIA. He didn't. He just carried on playing.
That's one thing. If you're gonna call something a dangerous hit straight to the head, then surely that player should be checked. Um, you
Yeah,
know, is that harsh on the team? Well, no, because we're talking about player safety. Okay, and
yeah.
that seems to be the talk of the town. So that is concerning, and
Hmm.
it's concerning to hear that he has got a gum mod in and it didn't flash, or he covered it. Maybe he changed it in his sock. I'm not saying anything. However, I wouldn't be surprised. Moving on from probably the tough moments in the match. One of the great moments in the match was you shouting Ricky January from the back of the Boma when Kobus Reinach did an almost like for like chip and chase. It's not the first time he's done that. He did that in the World Cup when he scored
Yeah,
his hat trick as well, one of his hat tricks in the World Cups. But what a player, Kobus Reinach, in his old age,
yeah.
saying he's younger than us, but getting a bit long in the tooth rugby career wise, but getting better every game.
He's the finest of wines. Like, what's the best South African wine you can get? We're gonna relabel it to Quibus or Reinach, whatever. Reinach
Reinach
Nuch de Paf.
Swinach.
Yeah, there we go. He had a barnstorming game. The try was just, I mean, it was early doors, but cherry on the cake. But he was all over the show. That picture of him coming off the field all covered in green, the Hulk. What a man! What a man! What a man! What a mighty fine man.
And for spending so many years behind Faf, really trying to get some game time under his belt, then probably falling down the pecking order with the likes of Grant Williams, Jaden Hendricks over the
Yeah,
last year, who again is recovering his form. To come out and be like, you know what, I still have the desire at my
yeah,
age not to hold the bags and to cruise, get minutes, to actually be a starting player, and he's getting this renaissance. Hopefully, he'll bring that back to the Stormers if it will with any luck. But then you've got Grant Williams coming off the bench, who arguably could be pissed off he's not starting. Whether we think that's correct on his form or not, he's going to think at the beginning of this year it was his job to lose, and he's got something to prove. He came out, wonderful little step and a try, as he does so often. Managed the game nicely, I thought, after that as
yeah.
well. It was nippy, it was quick. Him and Marnie have got this like nice little relationship going. And it was just great. I mean, we can talk about Andre's maul try going, the best, turning a middling Bok player into one of the best tools we have.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
Quagga Smith of the back
yeah,
line.
Quacha 2.0. We need to give Andre some sort of animal name.
And maybe a broken nurse or something to so he
He's
can
too
fit in a
pretty.
little bit. No, he's too beautiful for that.
Um,
Andre would love you. But what an outstanding, just to get a player to buy into that from the coaching staff, to have the size to cope with it,
yeah,
but also, the commitment he's shown. He scored two more tries in the last 2 weeks. He's only ever scored one try at flank at
yeah,
center, but we almost don't need him at center. But to have him play both roles is something we need.
yeah.
We
It's
didn't even know it.
no, it has sadly now shifted him more to the bench, but it does mean that he will feature more often, I think, because what an absolute weapon to have. You can go
And
with a
before
5-3 split, or what is Jean de
we were
Villiers is calling
scratching
it?
our
Five
we were
and a
scratching
half.
our heads so often. We were like, where are we going to give Andre caps? Because he
Yeah,
needs games under his belt to become the player that he is at club level. So I'm sure he would rather play at this stage of his career on the bench for the Boks than play one game a season.
yeah, true. Absolutely.
So and you add the bomb squad mentality, all that. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And kudos to him. Of course, we had Sacha. What would a game be without Sacha rounding someone and scoring a try? The beautiful man he is. Just adding, just adding things to his levels of this guy could be the best player in the world. And Woody, is it too early to say he might even be nominated as player of the year?
I don't think it's too early. I think there's a chance he can get nominated. I don't think he'd win it. That's just me being honest. Um, I'm only saying it because I think the only thing he really needs to work on with his game is, I mean, he's got a very good kick for poles. He's got good accuracy, but he does miss. So, I mean, those two missed kicks
Are we
could have
being
been
too harsh on him because we've already crowned him as this incredible
prodigal.
player? I think,
I know.
74, 75% success rate is probably acceptable. His gameplay is probably the best we've seen from a 10, maybe even in South African history. Um, he's the real deal. We know that, and we seem to kind of go, he's not having a great game. He's trying too hard. He's doing this. He's doing that. Because we know those games that pop up every now and again, the Argentina game. But he keeps winning man in the match for a
I
reason,
know. That's
you
true.
know. And if you go for World Player of the Year at the moment, and you're looking at backs, we've got you can go with a Frenchman, either Anton de Pont or Baleara or whatever. I mean, I didn't see him in the game on Saturday, but everyone keeps talking him up. Or Penode, some guy in the back line. You've got Finn Russell, maybe at a push, who beat an Australia team who can't even beat England or Italy. And then you've got Sacha, who has Freedom Cup records, Rugby Championship, dominated France, is the heir apparent. He's got to be in that conversation, whether he wins it or not. I'm actually not that phased, but I
No,
think he'll be in that conversation.
I no, I do agree. I think he'll be nominated. And if he's not, I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
Um, other honorable mentions of quality backline players, DMAC. Oh my gosh, he's having
DMAC, I mean, unreal player, unreal skill. We've always known that. But that point to prove in 15 minutes against the Scots, absolutely unbelievable. Come to the Stormers any day you like, mate, to be honest. You'd fit in quite well, actually. It'd be fucking great.
absolutely.
But what a player. 60 odd caps for the All Blacks, never quite cemented his spot, always gets, it speaks volumes about the backline talents in the All
Mm.
Blacks. So a player like that doesn't get the flowers that maybe he deserves. And that's just a game where, taped up, bleeding. There's not an ounce of like blonde haired soft boy around him. He just looks like an absolute champion,
Yeah,
spinning around, dotting it down, probably like me in my playing days. And they don't, big laugh. But unbelievable. Certainly at Murrayfield, a game that shouldn't have been that close.
no,
But before we get on to that, let's just we talked Sasha got player of the match. Other honourable mentions in there. We've got to talk about Michael Marks. Probably the best game he's had since pre that injury in the World Cup, where
yeah,
he was being talked about the best player in the world.
yeah. And I think if he's not, I think it was at the back end of last year. He was looking like his line, even the beginning of this year, his lineouts went great and stuff. And people were like, God, I think he's done. I don't know who these people were, but I heard murmurs. He back.
I think we were so used to him getting two turnovers a game, at
Yeah,
least hitting his tackles hard, like going at
lineouts.
100 miles an hour, because he was playing 40 minutes at a time, not 70 minutes at a time or 65 minutes at a time. He was getting pushed by Bongi. There's all these elements that like
Yeah,
made him such an incredible player, and then coming back, just I I, I love Japan and what they're doing for our box, but I think playing in a South African circuit or European circuit might have refined his edge a little bit quicker. But my God, he's back to his best.
oh
He's an
man,
undeniable force, unreal. Could have been man of the match. Played 78 minutes, 79 minutes
some
of that game.
basically Grobby's came on
Yeah,
for
for a cap.
to
You
get
know,
his payday.
exactly. Dirty his shirt so he could go and drink some beers with the boys. And then my actual player of the match was Jasper Wiese. I thought
Oh
it was the best game he's played in a box shirt. We said that a couple of weeks ago. I
yeah,
genuinely think he's getting better and better and better. And what Russie saw in him 3 or 4 years ago, where we were all like, okay, maybe, he's now starting to really.
yeah,
Well, he must be near 40 caps.
yeah. He's getting there.
He's never let us down, but he's been a kind of slow bloomer into the shoes of Dwayne Vermeulen. But this game, he did over 100 meters. He looked unreal.
He did. He was very Dwayne-esque. Just you wanted Dwayne to be in your team week in week out. Now you can't not have Jasper Wiss in your team because
Mm.
he's that he's key. He's critical. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
he's just an absolute.
Abrasive.
Yeah, you could see the difference. Remember when he got his ban for kissing the Italian on the head? He, we looked lost at eight. We didn't know what to do, and now he back, and we're looking good there. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
unreal, absolutely unreal. Um, couple of people subbed early on. We know Bowen Fenter came off like 31 minutes. He looked very confused because he'd been doing well
Yeah.
in the scrum times. Rusty said he needs to get used to this level of competition,
Yeah.
which is maybe true, but also, you've got to play in that level to get used to it. And he's played off the bench once or twice, but other than that, he's only played junior, well, junior, smaller teams, minnow nations. So, you know, in Rusty we trust. I think 40 minutes you could have hoiked him quite easily and not been so embarrassing. But look, Rusty doesn't think like a fan. He doesn't think like
No.
your mom that wants you to play. He thinks about team first. And Steenkamp came on, did what he has so often done in his 15 or 16 caps for the Boks, of just being solid,
Mm.
and that scrum destroyed from then on.
Our scrum looked so good. I've watched quite a lot of. I've replayed. It's quite sad how often I watch the highlights. um, but our scrum looked really good. We got lucky with one of this. I think the first scrum penalty. I think Thomas Toy's knee went down, but it went down for like a fraction of a second. That's probably our only error in the
Mm.
scrumming area of the whole day. But it was our penalty. So thanks, Angus. Thanks for giving us the penalty.
We'll take it. But
Um,
you've mentioned a toy there. Played fantastically well as well.
Beautiful. And he's not even, well, I say he's not normally, I don't think he was born and bred to be a tight head, but it seems like he's going that way because he was always a loose
Mm.
head. But he had a hell of a game, hell of a game. And then but you can't then forget about Wilco Lowe, then came on and his absolute, what are we going to call them?
Those
Tomahawk
tree trunk
thighs.
legs. You can't
God,
you
that
can't
he
help.
can,
Another person at halftime, Sia got pulled because of the red card. Because we needed Andre on there, who again covered center and flank. Unreal. He took it well, took it like a champ. Must
yeah.
have been really hard for him, and that just speaks volumes of the man.
100%. Yeah, he got yanked off. I think Rune Kier came on for him. He had a hell of a great game as well. But you could see him on the sideline just screaming and shouting. A couple F bombs here and there. They tired. They tired. Alles moeg. Sha. And then that's the just shows the mark of the man. What a guy. I mean,
What a
he
guy!
did
100
like no
caps.
no like this is my game. Come on, guys. It's the team and the country first, and that's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, and look, he's been celebrated, and he'll be continued to celebrate, and we appreciate you, Boo. Um, but yeah, just I've got a little note on here. On when I was writing here, the French revenge fell flat. The French fans were silenced. They left with 10 minutes to go, and they'll be mourning till they win at a World Cup, which probably will never happen. But what an unbelievable performance. We talked briefly about New Zealand, Scotland. I thought New Zealand 17-0 up. Wow, this was going to be an absolute humdinger of a spanking. It then was 17 all, probably unlucky. 3 cards, I think, for the All Blacks,
Hmm.
including Artie Surveyor. I think got, if I remember correctly, got sent off as a team yellow card for collapsing. So like you have to send someone off.
Ah, right. Okay. I thought you were
So
telling me the coach is going, oh, that's a yellow. Gregor was like, no, yeah,
no, no, no. It should be the way we could yell at them all.
get him.
I might be wrong there. Apologies if I am, but that's what I saw on some highlights. Italy versus Oz. The Azzurri prepping for the Boks. They dismantled Australia. Um, it goes from bad to worse. Bit of a false dawn for Australia, was it?
I know. Yeah, I don't know. They looked so good. They must have just shot their load when they played the Lions. Like, and then they beat us. I mean, they whooped us in Ellis
Mm,
Park, at Ellis Park. And then they've just slowly declined a bit. They were still really decent across the rugby championship. Like they didn't lose
mm,
by miles. You know what I mean? Like they did
no.
well. And then like they beat Argentina once, they lost to Argentina, etc. So they were looking good. Like we thought, hold on, here we go. And then they just looked flat, looked for lep against England, and then turned up to Italy expecting a victory, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
And
Italy are definitely a team you can't just turn up and expect a victory. And actually, Russie a couple of years ago went down there and played a first team. They've been speaking a lot about that as well. I mean, a lot of people have been in the press this week that aren't necessarily first team players that you think is, getting them ready. Things like Mone van den Berg's been a lot in the press. You've had Kane and Moody taking some
yeah,
questions,
Marco van Staden.
and a couple of oaks like that. So there's probably going to be some changes, but you'd expect at least the back line to be, or at least the wings to be set. Damien Willems has been in the in the press a bit, so he'll probably keep his position. Hopefully, we won't make too many changes, but we just keep this momentum going. The Boks should beat Italy by 20 points, but
Yeah.
you've got to respect them when you go in there. Playing at Juventus Stadium, bit of
Ooh,
history there. That'll be pretty cool.
that's cool.
Um, but yeah, Italy on the up, continue to kind of take names if you
Yeah.
want for a bit. I mean, Australia are not. It's proving that this Lions tour was as trash as anything, right? It was the worst Lions team that's been in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the one that toured South Africa in the pandemic, the one that toured New Zealand, and the one that toured Australia before. All of those three would smash this year's Lions team,
I
right?
reckon so.
Hands down. Okay. Um, Proper prime players. Um, and then you've got an Australia team that almost beat them, beat them in one game, almost beat them in the middle game, and clearly are trash. So yes, they are athletes and they can get hyped and they can play against us South Africa and they can beat us and they catch us off guard, catch us outside, and
How about that?
that's because they are supreme athletes, but they're not a great rugby team. So you know what? Fuck Australia. Excuse my language. I meant Italy. Um, but let's build up. We've got a little pre team prediction. We are running out of time, so
Yep.
um, let's fast forward through the pack.
Right.
Your team prediction against Italy.
So I went a bit rogue. So fast forward. Bowen Venter, Krobela, Zach Porton, Jean Klein, RG Snyman, Sia Kolisi, Branko Mostert. I was thinking Ben Jason Dixon, but changed my mind, and Jasper Visser. Because you need a
Okay,
mixture. That's
I,
very
I
rogue.
it's a rogue front row, but I get. I mean, if you have the old pigs on the bench in the bomb squad, then you can kind of you can make up for it if things start going wrong. But to have all three is tough. I definitely wouldn't have all three starting there. I would prefer to have Malcolm starting and maybe at halftime give Hobbies the half, or maybe the other way around. Maybe you're right. But to have two, I think Bowen will be fine. I think Zachary, let's leave him for Wales, to be honest.
True.
And let's take that risk there. We've got other props in the list that can get some game time. But yeah, look, what about
Asenati?
Marnus van der Merwe? Is van der Merwe still in the squad?
No, he's not. He's
He's
back
been
with
dropped. Ah, fair enough.
Scarlets, whatever.
There you
He should
go.
this is why I've gone rogue, because I'm thinking
Yeah.
Malcolm Marx had a pretty much played a full game and it was a tough bloody game.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
So I'm
Yeah.
just thinking this is why it's gone rogue. So I'll finish the team and then it's definitely not going to be the team, but I'm
But you've
thinking
also got
outside.
Bongi. You've also got Bongi back in the squad now.
Is he? Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
back in the squad.
Right, well,
So that can show maybe him come off the bench or him whatever.
well,
Okay, cool. So what have we got in the back line?
Grant Williams, Andre Pollard, Edo van der Merwe, Damien Dallander, Kanan Moody, Ethan Hooker, Damon Willemse.
Okay, yeah. I mean that's a great back line. I think Andre deserves some game time on this trip.
Hmm.
So oh, what a sad day to have him being shoehorned in. But
Yep.
but look, phenomenal player. He'll guide some of the youngsters in the back line pretty well.
Yeah. And then this is why I've gone rogue. And this is also why I think Malcolm Marks needs a rest. And it's definitely not going to happen. But this is my method to my madness. So the bench, Markov and Staden is okay. But that just means Grobbie just plays the whole game, basically. And Markov and Staden can come
Yeah,
on as a flank for Sia. Um, where are we? I've lost Stennekamp, Wilco Low. But you could swap
fine.
out Wilco Low for Asenati and Klabakanya. Ibn Etzebeth, Andre Estrazen as a utility knife, as well as Quacha. And then Morne van den Berg and Mani Lubbock.
And you wouldn't have Asen. We need a nickname for this guy, dude.
Asenati.
Asakanya, Sanati. There we go. You wouldn't have him. Apologies, my whiteness showing through there, but he wouldn't have him starting. Hell of a
No,
player.
I could swap him in for Zach Porton and you save Porton for Wales, like you said.
Yeah,
So Asenati gets. I don't know what's going on with his bands. I know he's there in the
he's
squad.
not. It's a South African drug ban that they're looking into it. It's not like the
Right.
world anti-doping. So
Right.
I'm hoping it's a storm in a teacup, but he's not been found guilty
No, so
yet,
keep playing.
so he can play.
So I'd
Do
start
you
him then.
maybe? But if you, but now going backtracking, but if you start him, he's going to get tired. Although he plays at Ellis Park, I
Yeah.
think for the big man, you probably get 60 minutes out of him. And then Zach, maybe have him off the bench. You're right, in case Zach is having some issues.
Or otherwise, you have
Because
Will
the
Colo there.
Azeri scrum is strong. The Azeri
Because yeah, because
scrum is strong.
Wilco only played what 35 minutes or whatever. I don't know how long.
Yeah.
So you could have Wilco on the
Yeah.
bench as tight head. You can have Thomas Tutoy there as well because he plays both. There's too
Yeah.
many options. This is the problem.
Too
That's
many
I say
options.
it's
And
a
you don't want to
problem.
mix it up too much. You want to kind of keep
Exactly.
them how they've been playing.
Yeah,
So what do you got on the bench there first?
I've done the bench. So Marco van Staden,
Oh,
Steenekamp,
sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
Wilco Low, Eben Etzebeth, Andres Trezen, Kwacha Mornay, Libok. There's method to the madness because Franco can shift to lock, Sia can come off for Marco. Yeah, this is how fortunate we are. We're lucky.
I'm, uh, I like the idea of your team. I think it'll probably be
Be
a
more
little bit
first team.
more structured. I think you'll have, yeah, yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Rusty could start playing the under 19 boys that are there on tour
Yeah.
and get like some Oaks in. Who knows? He's a wizard. He's a wizard, Harry. Okay, let's quickly before we finish up here, let's go through some match predictions for the weekend. So, just by how much, we don't need the exact scores, but Italy, South Africa at Juventus Stadium, starting off the day, lunchtime kickoff, just around lunchtime, depending on where you are in the world.
South Africa to win by, I'm going to say 18 points.
Okay, I'm going to say 28 points.
Damn.
I think it's going to be a bit of a hiding, similar to that of Japan. Um, it should be. England, New Zealand, Allianz Stadium, Twickenham. Probably the
I
game of the weekend.
100%. I seen England's team. Um, I don't know. I think New Zealand wins this. But it's gonna be tight.
Yeah.
New Zealand by like 3 or 5, between three
Yeah,
and
I was
five.
going to say New Zealand by 3 to 5. Let's agree on that one. Wales, Japan.
Oh, I think Wales are gonna win a game. They have lost a
Yeah,
very key player though. Jack Morgan like broke his arm or something, but I think they can beat Japan.
yeah. I think Jack Morgan is a hell of a player, but is he going to win you a game? I don't know. I think they are primed to get a result for their new coach. They scored tries last week. Japan can score tries as well. I just don't think that Japan team is anywhere near as strong as teams in past.
No.
It wouldn't surprise me if Japan sneak a win,
Yeah.
but I think, and I kind of hope Wales get a win here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Wales. Wales by 7.
Yeah, it's Wales by 10 or 7 to 10
Yeah.
range. France, Fiji.
Oh.
They're playing in Bordeaux. The disrespect to the name of the Fijians by taking them out of Paris, absolute disgrace. But what do you think?
France will win. Fiji kept England quite tight for a while, and then they ran away with it at the end. So I'm going to say France will maybe bounce back after the Bok game. They win by 30 points.
Yeah, a yeah, I think if France win by 30 points is has to happen for the French.
Mm.
I think the Fijians will play some nice rugby. But yeah, Ireland, Australia at the Viva.
Uh, Ireland
There's no
wins it.
chance these Aussies are going to turn them over, is there? They did
No,
it to the Boks.
they did, but I just think they still don't have players like Will Skelton. He's playing up in France at the moment, and he's
Mm.
so
But
like
they have got Jock back.
they have got Jock back. So look, Ireland's going to win. Ireland will win comfortably, I think, by like 18 to 23 points or something like
Yeah,
that. I think they're
I would
going to.
love Australia to win, but I think you're right. I think Ireland need a performance. They didn't get that against Japan last week. It wasn't
No,
convincing. The scoreline obviously was, but it wasn't a great performance. So I think this is prime for Ireland to just like grind in a real classic Irish dirty performance,
yeah.
not dirty in tactics. But just similar to like what South Africa do when they need a win. They just grind it out, push, 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 bit of slow poison. Then actually quite an exciting game, 3 p.m. on Sunday. We've got Argentina heading to Murrayfield. I think this could be pretty close.
I think so. That's two very exciting teams with some wicked backlines and I say RG's got maybe more ferocious forwards. Um, but I'm going to
Uh,
say I don't know. I just think so.
oh, than Scotland. Sorry,
Yeah,
yeah.
more ferocious than Scotland. For some reason, I think Scotland's going to pip them, and I think Scotland's going to win by like 7 points, 7 to 12 points.
Yeah, that's probably the safe bet on there. I'm gonna go just to have one against you. I'm gonna go Argentina. Um,
Go on,
by 5.
Los
I think that would.
Pumas.
Argentina can blow hot and cold. Yes, we get it, but they are a solid team.
Yep.
Scotland, still think they played well against New Zealand instead of mourning the loss. They kind of talking up how they played. I think that attitude where the Argentinians just are desperate to prove themselves, hopefully will push them over the line and be a pretty exciting game. Anyway, that's us. We're about to run out of time. If you haven't followed us and you're still here, please hit a follow. Drop a comment on what you think of us. And we haven't even talked about our night with Stephen Kitsoff, but maybe that's a good thing. And I will see you next time.
Bye.